Happy, beautiful day. It's Pete Cohen. It's Psychology's magazine. It's week 4 of 4 weeks on the magic of thinking big. Delighted that you have joined me. Let's see how many people join us today and from what countries in the world are being represented here. First off, I want to say a massive thank you to Psychology's magazine giving me this opportunity to share some time with you. I really encourage you to make the most of this time and also to make the most of everything that Psychology's magazine does to help people with this. Isn't it truly fascinating how our lives are truly dictated by what goes on in between these two ears? And I don't believe many of us pay enough attention to not only what is going on and how that is affecting our lives, but also what we can do to change. I believe in human beings. I believe in you. And I want to thank you for being here. Let us know, first and foremost, where are you in the world? We would love to know. Look at that, 70 people just jumped on. Let's see how many of you stay from the beginning all the way to the end as we really dive into the first week of 4 weeks on the magic of thinking big. What's happening? Blur. We have got some blur going on. Let's just see if we have any machines going on in the background, because that can often be it. Anything on Wi-Fi? Are you guys on Wi-Fi? Any machines on Wi-Fi? Who knows? Maybe the blur will go away. No, there's no Wi-Fi on here. Maybe you could just go and ask my wife. Who knows? Because we're broadcasting from home. But I think the most important thing is that you can hear me. Nothing works perfectly well. So you might have heard this before, but technology doesn't always work. And do you know why it doesn't always work? I'll tell you, because man created it and nothing we do is perfect. This isn't perfect, but there's so many things that we can do to make this thing work more effectively. So I'd love to know what countries we've got represented here. If we could just shout them out, let me know which countries we've got. Have we got anyone here from the United Kingdom? Have we got anyone here from Africa? Anyone from South Africa watching? Anyone from Australia watching? Let us know and be proud of where you're from. I mean, ultimately, we're all from the same place. We are all from planet Earth, but let us know where you are in the world. Louis, Jerry, shout out, what countries do we have here? Before we get really stuck into the presentation. USA is in the house. Whereabouts in the United States are you? Thank you for joining us. Where else? What other countries do we have? We've got the UK. We've got the United Kingdom in the house. Where else? Montreal, Canada. Canada is in the house. Happy, beautiful day to our Canadian cousins. Where else? Belgium. Belgium is in the house. Happy, beautiful day to our friends and family in Belgium. Scotland. Bonnie, Scotland is in the house. Happy, beautiful day. That was my impersonation of a Scottish person. The Philippines is in the house. Amazing. Which island are you from? Of the 2,000 islands that exist in the Philippines, maybe it's 7,000. It's a lot of islands. Where else do we have? Pakistan is in the house. Isn't this awesome? I find it hard to kind of put into words what it's like to be able to be here now talking to you through this camera and knowing that there are people all over the world watching. And I'm really going to get stuck in right now. We've spent 4 weeks focusing on the magic of thinking big. But today, what I want to share with you is so important. If you can start to understand this and get your head around this, you'll see that your life changes beyond anything you can possibly imagine. If you could actually just, Louis, just in the comments, just literally just press return. If any of you want to get more information based on the work that I do in inspiring people, you'll see that we've just put a comment on there. If you click on that, you can get access to a whole load of free resources that I've personally put together. Because ultimately, I'm a coach. I'm the author of 19 best-selling books published all over the world. I'm absolutely obsessed as a coach, helping people go from where they are to where they want to be. So let's get stuck in. You can see we might not be able to see on the board behind me. Is it still blurry? Okay, so I'm just going to be very close to the camera here so you guys can hear me. What I want you to think about is thinking. How important do you think thinking really is? And how many thoughts do you think that you have every single day? Because it's estimated that human beings have around 50,000 thoughts in one day. Now, if that's true, that's a lot of thinking. But what most of us don't realize is our thoughts go round in circles. So if I could have access to what you thought yesterday, we'd probably see that a lot of those thoughts are very similar to the thoughts you are having today. And this is what is known as your identification. And the word identification means the person you are being. And the person you are being is the person who you think you are, based on who you have become, based on your thoughts, feelings, and actions. But what we do know is we can change the way that we think. Would you not agree? Has that ever happened to you? See, someone like you is bound to be interested in some similar things to everyone who's watching this right now. How many of you are interested in the way that you think? What you think about, you could say, comes about. And what I wanted to work with you on today, again, I'll be surprised if you can see what's on the board if the image is pixelated. But the most important thing is that you can hear what I'm saying. What would you say is the nature of the human mind? What would you say most people's minds are really like? What do you think? Now, I'm someone who studied psychology, and I really didn't learn very much from studying it. I learned from having a coach for 16 years who was a lot more experienced than me. He was from the Philippines, and I traveled around the world with him for 16 years of my life, and I learned so much from him. And one of the things I learned was when he asked me one day, he said, "What do you think the nature of the human mind is?" And I gave him an answer, and I remember him laughing at me. And he said, "Look, you're just trying to give me an intelligent answer." He said, when you dive into people's minds, you'll realize that everybody's minds is playing a trick on them. Your mind is a trickster. Have you ever walked down the street and you thought that there's someone behind you? Have you ever tried to go to sleep at night and you haven't been able to go to sleep because your mind is playing tricks on you? If you have children, or if you have an ex-partner, and you know that partner is out somewhere, that you'd be thinking about that person, creating all different types of scenarios in your mind. Or maybe there's something that's happened in your past and you just keep going over it. Maybe you're worried about the future. Our minds play tricks on us. But what I want to share with you is so important, because it's not the fact that your mind is playing tricks on you. It's much more than that. It's how crazy we actually all are. I remember once traveling on the tube in London, and there was a woman sitting opposite me who was basically talking out loud and talking very loudly. She was talking to herself, and she was going, "You don't understand what it's like for me, and you keep putting me down, and you have got no idea what it's like for me." And there were no seats on either side of her, not because it was lockdown. This was a long time ago. People didn't want to sit next to her. And we got off at the same station, and I followed her for a little bit. And we actually ended up going into the same building. And as soon as she went into the building, she stopped that conversation with herself. Now, a lot of people would say that that lady was a bit mad. Well, if I could see what was going on inside your head, what would I think? Would I think you were a bit mad? You definitely think I was a bit mad if you could step inside my head and see what was going on. And when we look at Christianity, and when we look at Hinduism, when we look at Buddhism, we can see some real similarities in what all of these ancient religions and cultures say. And it's the madness of human beings. In Christianity, they call it the original sin. You know, the original sin of taking the apple from the forbidden tree. And what the original sin is all about is missing the mark of what is really, really important. And that's what I want to ask you. What do you think in your life right now is really, really important? What is it that is something that you have a burning desire to do? Because the magic of thinking big is your ability to come up with an idea and bring that idea to life. It's the greatest thing that any of us will ever do. In Hinduism, they call it Maya, which is this disillusion, this ability for human beings to create suffering, misery, dissatisfaction. In Buddhism, they call it dukkha. And the fact is, if we don't go to work on our minds will work against us. And I'm sure you're aware of that. And that is one of the reasons why right now, there has never been as many mental health problems as there are right now. And why is that? When there are so many opportunities for us to do things and create things and be free and be happy, But at the same time, there's so much distraction. There's so much negativity in a world that is basically throwing images at people that are making people think that they're not good enough. Now, I know that a lot of this will ring true to you, but can you not see that we have to look at ourselves and say, what can we do about it? What is in my control? I don't know what the situation is right now for you, but you know what? In the United Kingdom, it looks like we're going to have another lockdown. It looks like thousands more people are going to lose their jobs. It looks like the amount of people that might take their life will go up considerably, because for people where there's no hope and where their purpose is taken away from them, people perish. The destructive nature of the mind takes over. And I think that we all need a new hope. We need a new dawn of possibilities. We need us to transcend our old selves and look to the future with optimism. Because ultimately, what is it that we ultimately have? Now, I haven't lived through any major disasters in my life. I've had a few disasters I've had to deal with, but I didn't live through the Second World War or the First World War. And then when we look at humanity and we look at what man has done, because if a doctor was giving a diagnosis to humanity, what would the doctor say? They'd say, you're absolutely crazy. You're killing, you're destroying this earth. That's what humanity is doing. Whether it was Stalin, who killed 20 million people, or the Nazi regime, which killed also millions of people, or the other people around the world that are living in societies where there are dictators doing horrible things to people, or part of the regimes that we're involved in every single day. It's no surprise that a lot of people are going down a road that they don't want to go down just with their thoughts. Can you change your thoughts? Can you change your thinking? I believe you can, and that's why over the next few weeks, I will continue to show up here on Psychology's magazine, offering you new perspectives, new tools, new tips, new techniques for you to transform this thing that you have, right? Just take a moment, please. Take a moment to think about the magic that exists behind your eyes. The fact that you have the ability to rise above your thoughts. I was talking to one of my colleagues who's just a couple of feet away from me today about the consciousness that exists right now, this consciousness of fear. Can you imagine how many people there are right now all over the world that are seriously frightened? Frightened of catching this virus, frightened of losing their job. Can you imagine if you could tap into that, how that might affect you? Well, that is an energy that I think the more we think about it, the more we get affected by it. But is it possible we could rise above that, rise above our thoughts? And this is where I want to leave you with today. I want you to take a moment to consider something. Are you your thoughts? Or are you more than your thoughts? I think we are a part of this amazing organism, this thing called planet Earth. And everything that is on this earth has its place, whether it's wasps or spiders or anything that you see, it has a place. And we have a place as a part of this big one. But for so many of us, we are disconnected from nature and we're connected to our thoughts. We're connected to a world that pretty much is crazy. But what can you do about it? We can complain. We can get upset about it. But ultimately, what can we do? I believe we can change our thoughts. We can change our minds. We change our thoughts. It changes our feelings, which produces different actions within people. And if you're one of these people that you would love to learn how to think greater than you feel, then keep showing up, because that is what Psychology's magazine is all about. It's all about giving you some practical wisdom, tools, techniques. Does anyone have any questions or anything that you want to say? Because we'll bring it up on the screen. I just want to thank you for being here. So this is where I really want you to think about. The real magic of thinking big is your awareness that you can come up with an idea. You can come up with a great idea and you can manifest that idea. You can bring that idea into reality. It was Dr. Wayne Dyer that said in the book, you'll see it when you believe it, that everything that you see exists twice. This camera has existed twice. Someone came up with the idea and he then built it. He probably didn't do it on his own, What ideas could you come up with? See, this is where a lot of us struggle, because we come up with ideas about what is wrong and what is missing, and then we make that feel so real to us that it really affects us. That is the challenge of life, that we can come up with illusion and it can affect us, or we can come up with something that was an idea and bring it to life. What is it that you have left that you still want to do with your life? What is it that you want to change? What is in your way? If I can help you in any way, shape, or form, feel free to reach out to me personally. Click on the link in this post where you can get some access to a whole load of free content that we've put out there to help people close the gap between where they are and where they want to be. And make sure you take advantage of everything that You See Psychology's magazine does, because it's there for you. Look, it's truly amazing. We've got people here from all over the world who have shown up. Why are you here right now? What is it you want to learn? And what have you taken away? Because the next time you have a thought that you feel is overpowering you, remember, you are not that thought. You are more than it. You can rise above your thoughts. Thoughts can come and thoughts can go. And you can create new powerful ones and make this world a much, much better place. So I'm just looking behind me here. I think that if you take some time today and you're able to go outside and look at anything in nature, just look at what nature does. Nature grows. It doesn't stop halfway. It does what it is meant to do. It is meant to grow. And with us, we just have this thing called choice. Human beings have this dignity that we have been given to choose. So we can choose to do things, or we can choose not to do things. But remember, whenever you choose to do something that maybe you haven't done before, it's very easy to let your feelings take over. I think it's time for us to rise up like never before, take advantage of the situation that we find ourselves in, and make this world a better place. Any questions have come up there? Jerry, can you see anything? Anyone want to say? I can see comments coming in. You want to pass me my phone? Let's have a look. Let's see if I'm still distorted on the screen. Yes, I am. I want to thank all of you for being here today, every single one of you. I can see we've got people all over the world. And I just want to really, really thank you for being here, because you're obviously here for a reason. Apologies for the broadcast, because my screen is definitely pixelated. But enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching. What's your biggest takeaway? And we'll see you next week, as we're going to start a series of 4 broadcasts all about zest, hope, and optimism. Take care, guys. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.